What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. Behind me, a headache. I need another project like I need a hole in the head, but here we are. This is an international backhoe. This is a 270 Series A payloader, excuse me. So I actually bought this sweet unit back in like February, and I'm finally getting around to picking it up now. Here we are in September. So it's had time in the healing weeds to hopefully fix itself all up since I came down here and initially checked it out. Well, the glutton for punishment that I am, I picked up this old international, what is it, a 270A? Yep, 270 Series A international backhoe. This thing's been sitting here for at least a few years. The old man that owned it passed away a few months ago. And like I said, being the glutton for punishment that I am, I decided to throw a couple bucks at it. And well, now I own it. I'm told that it should fire right up, but these things are often not the case. So I'm gonna record this and see what happens. She's in pretty rough shape. Pretty much every hydraulic line is ready to go. I think that's a 4-cylinder International Harvester engine. There was a line that was disconnected back here in the hose section, so it wasn't this one. It's that one down in there, but the threads are messed up on the line, so you can't get it attached where it's supposed to be. I also couldn't get the cap on down there right. It's kind of cross-threaded, so I pulled it off back here, capped it off there, so that we should be able to fire this thing up and get it out of here. If it fires up, I'll lift the boom up and all that jazz. So I just stuck the key in the ignition. I didn't turn it on yet. I do have the jump pack hooked up. Better look at this engine over here. Yeah, that's a 4-banger, international. Guess we should at least check the oil. Wherever the heck the dipstick is. I think the dipstick's holding the camera at the moment. Oh, things happened. Barely tickled the key and the engine spins over, so that's a good sign. I have no idea how to make this thing go. That's a shuttle shift, it's a neutral. That looks like breakage. Throttle over there. Don't know what any of these levers do. Yeah, let's just crank it and find out, I guess. Contact. Well, how about that? Does seem to run good. Doesn't seem to be any hydraulic oil spewing everywhere, so that's a great sign. Sweet. We're sitting for a couple of years. That fired up like nothing. Guess we need to see if the outriggers and the bucket are going to lift. Oh yeah, it's not even that clapped out. I believe those chains on there are so that they don't drift off going down the road. There we go. Yeah. We got any curl? I'm not a backhoe guy, so this is new. Right on. Not too bad at all. I might have done all right with this thing. Now that is pretty impressive. Let's see if this front boom works. Oh yeah. See if she's gonna move. Oh, I felt the transmission engage. Throttle sticks a bit. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's been sitting there a while. All right, well, I'm not exactly ready to take this thing home. I was just kind of seeing if it was going to start today. Huh. Well, apparently you can't shut it off with a key. Right. Apparently that's how you have to shut it off. The guy that's handling the estate here, he mentioned that to me, something about that thing to shut it off, so I'm glad he did, because I'd have been looking for that for a little while. Not too bad. So, apologize for the shaky video on the cell phone cam there. It was kind of all I had that day, and I was just wanting to make sure we actually had a running piece here before I committed to buying. So anyways, the day's finally come. We're gonna try to get the old Backhoe out of here. I'm gonna actually try to drive it about 1.5 miles back to the farm. Our good friend Frank over at 73 Diamond Rio has almost an identical machine, and he hates it. So I'm sure that I'm gonna love this machine. Anyways, let's see if we can't get this thing fired up and drive it home.
Look at that.
So as you guys saw there in the cell phone clips, it's basically new. What is impressive though is I was down here several months ago and lifted up the supports here, outriggers, there was the word I was looking for. And I put these chains on it because I figured for sure that they were going to try to bleed off, but over the course of, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago at least, they have not bled off at all.
Is that a factory option?
It looks like it because the other ones that I've seen, even Frank's, has this exact same setup.
It's tied to the lever, I think.
Sure. Yeah, so I'll give it that. That part's impressive.
How about for the grease service points, it gives you the, whatever it is, multi-purpose grease, service liberal.
Liberal.
All of the pumps.
Does the seat?
Check engine oil.
Look at that.
Check transmission oil.
I just noticed this. I didn't know how you spun the seat before, but the seat just
back?
goes 90 degrees.
Except for the fact that it doesn't. Or is that just an extra support?
I think the whole thing goes.
Oh, that stays.
And now it's in Backhoe mode.
Ta-da!
That's pretty neat, actually. I've never seen one do that.
I think.
So, key, ignition.
Oh.
Need more juicy juice. Let's go get a jump pack, get this baby fired back up.
Not the SMV sign, it got wedged.
Dust that bad boy off. Keeping you legal for less.
Oh man, you got some serious wildlife in this front pocket.
All the mosquitoes?
There might be fish.
Fish. We've got a koi pond in the front bucket of this unit. All right, we got a jump pack hooked up. Let's see if this bad boy's gonna start. Contact. Jumpy pack, no bueno, bud. All right, we got another jump pack hooked up. Let's give this another go. Contact. We need more fuel. Contact.
Got it.
All right, we got to dump the koi pond out of the front bucket there. Boy, sure seems like it could use some hydraulic oil.
I have that.
I'll replenish it.
How did you take the transmission or anything?
You're supposed to check these things? Let's just see if it moves. It moved a little bit before, but I drove it a total of like 3 feet. Power steering's nice and easy. Here we go. We're gonna go. Pretty respectable. Man, listen to this thing purr. Really, for as good as it runs, the rest of it can be pretty clapped out. It runs that good. I think it's been sitting here for a good while. As far as I know, it's probably sat in this spot for, I think, at least 3 years without moving. So, taking a little bit of vegetation with us. I hate everything about driving this thing out of here. This is sketchy as somebody that's not a backhoe user. Do the brakes work? We should check that. Oh, the brakes work. That's good. Well, I have no idea how much fuel is in this unit, and we've got a 1.5 mile drive. I'd really hate to run out of fuel in the middle of the road, so there's a lock on the fuel tank there. I can't even check it, but I got a master key. Take that, lock-picking lawyer.
Fuel tank and not the hydraulic tank, right?
Yeah, either way we need to open it. Oh, bud. It's like half a tank of milky fuel.
Sweet deal.
Looks like it's got water in it to me. Look at, see what you think.
It sounds like it's running to me.
Yeah. Looks murky.
Looks fine. All right.
It's running good. All in all, the tires, they're kind of cracked up, but they got good tread. They're holding air. I haven't put air in any of them. She ain't real pretty, but
How's the dipstick?
the oil's clean. It's a little low, but not bad. It's still on the dipstick. Speaking of hydro, where do you put that in at? Sure seemed like it didn't want to boom up real well.
What's it say on your lube chart now?
Well, maybe that was just had air in the system because now it seems fine.
And keep all bolt screws and nuts tight.
Check.
Pre-trip complete. Let's send.
Look at the corners of the bucket. I didn't notice this. It's got holes in them. Both sides are
That was
rotted
holding
out.
the koi pond.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got more metal behind it. She's cherry. I might have overpaid. All right, let's get this show on the road. I don't see any traffic coming. Oh, the steering is a wonky. Holy crap. The steering is so loose.
This thing is great.
This thing is squirrely on the bumps. really cleared up. Oh boy, downhill's scary. The brakes work, but not that great. We got us a backhoe! I think I made it 8 seconds. You're gonna want to just rodeo your backhoe right out of the gate. Well, we made her back. Couldn't really ask for much better than that. No major breakdowns, no hydraulic line blowouts, no flat tires, no cops. All went pretty well. So what are we gonna do with a backhoe? I have absolutely no idea. It seemed like a pretty handy little loader, basically, and the backhoe half of it, well, I don't really care for that half. We might take it off, sell it for parts, because parts for these machines, I guess, are kind of hard to find. When I went down and looked at it a few months ago before I bought it, I wasn't there 5 minutes before somebody stopped in and asked me if I would sell it. So they were looking for parts off the backhoe unit. So I might sell them the backhoe unit. It's definitely an option on the table. Can't get over how good it runs, though. It really does run very well. Well, here we are just a few days later. I've done absolutely nothing to this thing yet. I did have the batteries on charge and it managed to start itself today. So we might have a diamond in the rough here, albeit very, very rough. Time to see if she's gonna cut the mustard though. I need to move a little bit of this gravel and see if we can't spread it out using the backhoe. Well, that all went remarkably well until it didn't. I was just finishing up with my rock detail there. I hauled around back there what I needed to do what I want to do. And I pulled up here and I thought, well, I'll throw the outriggers down and lift this thing up off the ground. Give it a little test of the outriggers, because I've never tried the outriggers yet. I did lift them up from where they had drifted to when we first fired this thing up back in the spring, but I have not tried to actually put any down pressure on them. And of course, as soon as I did try to put some down pressure on them, we blew a hose. I got the pig mats in there soaking all that up. It really didn't spray much. I mean, I saw it as soon as it blew and I let off the control and it quit spraying, so we didn't lose much in that way. But this whole machine needs hydraulic lines. Like, there's probably less than 10 that we can safely leave in place and not replace. I noticed this one down here, which is for the main boom lift cylinder. It's leaking pretty good. It doesn't leak when this position, but as soon as you get the bucket up in the air, it starts to leak a little bit. So we're gonna have to do a lot of hose changing if we want to really run this backhoe, and especially for the backhoe part of things. Like the front loader, I definitely want to fix up. I'm kind of on the fence about the backhoe part. Oh, and here's the other thing that we still have to fix. I don't want to be pulling on copper wires to shut this thing down. I'd like to be able to just turn the key switch off and have it shut down. But, I mean, I think I showed you guys some of these lines before. None of them are looking very good here. Once that rubber is cracked and dry rotted off of there and that steel starts to rust, the lines, well, they're just not long for the world. And probably over 30 lines that we're going to have to replace on this thing if we want to make this thing reliable and not worried about blowing a hydraulic line every time you lift the bucket. The problem is you spend all that money on hydraulic lines and you're still left with a 1970s clapped out backhoe. So is it worth it or not? I don't know. I am certain of one thing though. Anytime I talk about making hydraulic lines or having to get them made, this is the part where you guys all jump into the comments and say, you go through all these hydraulic lines, you should just have your own hydraulic crimper and make your own lines. The actual making and assembling and crimping of the hydraulic lines is not what's expensive. I could find one of those crimpers for, I don't know, $500-600, maybe even less sometimes, and I could do it myself. The problem is there's no point, because what's expensive is keeping all the supplies around to do it. To have all the correct ends for the hoses, to have all the types of hose in stock. I mean, a good hydraulic shop probably has $50,000-60,000 worth of inventory just sitting on the shelves at any given time, and they still might not have the right fitting for whatever I need when I walk in off the street. It's very, very expensive and takes a lot of storage area even to keep a good supply of hydraulic stuff laying around. Every machine is different. This machine uses mostly JIC fittings, whereas the Komatsu uses all O-ring face fittings, and so on and so forth. Every machine seems to have a different type of fitting, so to have all the right ones sitting around all the time would just be a giant headache and not really worth it. I am still surprised, however, at how well this thing runs. The engine and the transmission seem to operate completely flawlessly. This thing runs, drives, and even stops. So I think we do have a pretty good machine here to work with. If nothing else, like I said, the loader aspect of it is super handy to have around, and I can definitely see myself holding on to that. That backhoe part though, I don't really want to sink the money into it. Let me know what you guys think. I'm definitely not a backhoe fanboy by any stretch. I think it's kind of like one of those things, whatever you learned on to begin with is something you're kind of partial to. I learned on excavators, and I've only run backhoes occasionally. I'm not very good at it, I'll freely admit that. But there are people that are absolute wizards on backhoes. My neighbor, he is one of those backhoe gurus, and there's pretty much nothing that I would put past him that he can't do on a backhoe. They're capable machines, and if you were a farmer and you just had to have one machine sitting around, a backhoe is definitely a good option. You can get a lot of things done with one machine. I've said it a bunch of times in the past though, a backhoe is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. That they can do a lot of different things. They're just not really good at any one thing. It's not great for grading dirt. It's not a great loader even. A traditional articulating four-wheel drive loader is definitely a better option than a backhoe loader. And the hoe leaves you pretty limited on how you can set yourself up to dig and cast off material and load trucks and everything else. So definitely a lot of limitations, but like I said, if you had to have one machine, not a terrible option. Let's see if this thing's going to restart itself since I had the batteries on charge and I've been running it around here for about an hour. Maybe there's a small chance that it's going to start back up. We'll see about lifting that outrigger. I blew the down pressure line, so it looks like the up line has actually been recently replaced. This one here appears to be in good shape, so that should be the one we need to lift the cylinder, and then I will just chain that bad boy up. Looks like our batteries are holding the charge. That's awesome. So we have a good hydraulic line on the side we need to raise the cylinder, but the problem is there's still oil on the other side of the cylinder, and when we raise that arm, it's going to push all that oil out of that blown hydraulic line. So I want to take the damaged line off, I guess, and we're going to stick it in a bucket and try to contain that hydraulic oil as we lift it up. Well, that broke loose remarkably easy. Very surprised at that. All right, got the line in the bucket. Let's hope this works. There we go. Working just fine. Well, that worked out really good. All that fluid there would have otherwise been on the ground. Really did pretty good on that. Didn't lose hardly any oil at all. The rear hoe kind of works there. I have a blown line on the curl, so I don't want to try to run the curl at all, but the rest of it functions. The lines are just so sketchy that I would really be afraid to try to sink the bucket in and try to dig anything. I'm like 99% sure like 5 lines are going to let go at the same time, so I don't know. I take a lot of cues from you guys. Do you think this thing's worth fixing up? You got to let me know down in the comments, because I'm really on the fence about it. All right, well, I have just been ever so pleased with the performance of our little International here. Up until the very last minute I was using it just now. Of course, I wasn't recording it, but I was running it around here and I stepped on the throttle and it coughed and sputtered a little bit, which was the first time it's done that. And it got a little worse and it cleared up and got a little worse, and I thought, oh, I'm running out of fuel. And sure enough, blah, blah, blah. She died out on me. I coasted it back down here onto the flat, and I dipped the fuel tank, and we still have about 4 inches of fuel in the tank. So it's possible I was working on a slight lean and caught an air pocket, I'm not sure. I did crank it over again for a little bit, nothing. Nothing. So since she died out on us, I guess this opens up the door to another video on this thing for you guys. In the next video, I'm hoping we're gonna first and foremost get this thing back up and running. I'm betting it could probably use a couple fuel filters. They could be clogged up, I don't know. So we're gonna throw some fuel filters at it. We're gonna change the engine oil, change the oil filters. We're also potentially going to do a transmission oil and filter change because the hydraulic system and the transmission use the same reservoir to run. So God knows the last time that's been changed. It's probably overdue. Once all that part's serviced, I'm going to listen for feedback on this video from you guys as to what we should do. I'm definitely going to fix up the hydraulic lines on the loader half of the machine. Kind of like I said, waiting for some feedback from you guys as to what we're going to do with the backhoe part of this machine. So make sure you leave a comment and let me know what you think I should do with this machine as far as the backhoe goes, and I will take all that into consideration for the next video. If you guys like this video, do me a big favor, hit that thumbs up button down below the video. It really helps out the channel. It doesn't cost you guys a dime. If you'd like to help support the channel in a little more direct way, head on over to dieselcreek.com. Pick yourself up some sweet swag over at the store. We've got pocket tees, we've got hats, other t-shirts, beer koozies, the works over there at the store. That's dieselcreek.com. Link is down in the description. Last but certainly not least, as always, thank you guys for watching. Couldn't do it without you. I'll see you on the next one.